has officially begun.
The road to $10,000 runs literally through the road at Watkins Glen International. This is round number 12 of 16 on the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series, powered by iRacing. Tim Terry and Tony Stevens along with you for the ride. And we're getting ready, Tony, for 50 laps to Watkins Glen International. This is going to be exciting. We saw the Class B Series last week, put up 41 laps, and now the big boys are going to get at it. And those guys that we see on the oval, I think are going to do fairly well when we come to the road course here tonight.
Tim, I think I agree 100%. This is going to be fun to watch here tonight, no doubt at all. After what we saw last week in the NASCAR Xfinity Series B-Class cars, I think we're in store for a great show here tonight. We saw some runners from this tour up in the front of the B-Class race, and I expect it'll be no different tonight. The cream will always rise to the top, as is the case here in iRacing. And again, we should see some heavy hitters. Mike Conti, I think, one that comes to mind, had a great showing last week in the B-Class event. Really kind of a breakout race for him over the course of 2015. And I think tonight might be a night that he gets things back on track. The other thing we need to look at tonight is the final race before the drop. After tonight, the points will be reset with the worst race taken into account. And then Kenny Humphrey knows exactly what he has to do to win a championship. And I think everybody kind of knows at this point he can coast and win it. He has almost 2 races on second place, Tim. Might as well be his drop race.
And when you look at the point standings, Tony, it's 131 points. It's a huge gap. Is anybody going to catch him? They might be engraving that trophy right now as we speak. But when I asked Kenny Humphrey about his chances tonight, I asked who's the guys to watch, and I expected you said Mike Conti. Alan Bowes was quick last week on the road. Who do you expect to be quick? And without hesitation, he said Nick Ottinger, last week's winner, is going to be strong here as well. So watch for the 05 Ream car to be really strong here this evening. Expect Ray Alfala, Chris Overland, guys that are at the top of that point standings list, to be quick here as well. Kenny Humphrey's going to be good. But you know, if I'm down through the list, Timo Ivonen, Burmeister, PJ Sturgis, Jake Sturgis, there's a lot of names that we might not be used to seeing on a regular Tuesday night up near the front of the field, but I think those guys that are usually at front, Tony, are going to be quick too.
I think you're exactly right, Tim. I know in talking to Nick Ottinger a couple of weeks ago right here on Fans Choice with our weekly iRacing Series recap, that's exactly what he said. Off the air, he said, do not be surprised if we show up and have something good for Watkins Glen. He was very confident coming into the race this week, and I think, like you said, he might be one of the guys to watch. Not a guy you normally think of on a road course, but he might be somebody to keep our eyes on here tonight. The Gale Force Racing team has slowly been going at it incrementally all season long, a little bit better, a little bit better, a little bit better, and now I think the last week or so has proven they might be back to where they need to be. Not in championship form yet. That's an entire season here in the Peak Antifreeze Series. However, it certainly is going to be fun to see how they fare in these final 5 races of the year.
And then when you look at the top 20, Tony, that's the real big gap. Try to lock yourself into the series for next season. You got heavyweights like Tyler Hudson. You got heavyweights like Mike Conti. You got some guys down there that are going to be, in these last 5 races, even with that drop race in there, that are going to be running for that top 20. Nick Ottinger is another one. And you look back to a guy like Kyle Busch in the Sprint Cup Series, where he's running for the top 30 in points to lock himself into the chase with all the wins that he has. Nick Ottinger is trying to lock himself into the top 20 to be eligible for this series next year without going through the NASCAR iRacing.com Pro Series. Talk about Ottinger being strong 2 weeks ago at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. If he can be strong here again tonight and maybe win this thing, it's going to move himself a little bit closer, but he still has an uphill climb when it comes to this championship. Is he a championship contender? Not this season, but top 20? Definitely, if he can hold on to the momentum that he had from last week.
Tim, I think it's imperative to look at the cycle the Gale Force Racing crew has had the last few weeks, really the entire season. They started the season out good at Daytona. They started out great at Vegas. Remember, it was Nick Ottinger trying to win the race at Las Vegas when he and Kenny Humphrey got together. They had a solid run at Auto Club Speedway at California, and from there, they just sort of fell off the radar. Nobody really knew where they went, what happened, anything along those lines. And quite frankly, their program went down the tubes, and I think they'll be the first ones to tell you that. But they worked, they put their nose down, and they did their homework, and this new physics package, this new build, whatever you'd like to call it, seems to have really fit whatever they're doing at Gale Force, and these guys have come back with a vengeance, and they've certainly got a little bit of momentum. The question is, can they keep that over the course of the next, 16 months? I mean, it's going to take them a full year of being this good to have a shot at championship. Can they do it? I think they can. Question is, will they? And that sometimes is a completely different set of circumstances.
So when we look through this, if I hit the right button here, you look through the point standings here, Tony, you see guys that have run well on ovals, guys like Kevin King, Cody Bias, Justin Bolton. Look through Nathan Wise, guys like Landon Harrison that have run well on the oval side. Could they have a shot at winning here tonight and maybe propelling themselves a little bit higher up the standings? Is there anybody that you're saying that we don't usually see as possibly a dark horse here tonight?
Not in particular. I think you mentioned him already. Alan Bowes being one of the ones. Now, he picked up a win, remember, earlier this season. It was kind of an upset win because he was a graduate of the Pro Series. We hadn't heard a lot about him. But last week in the B-Class car, the Xfinity Series machines, Alan Bowes was very good. In fact, he pretty much dominated that race, picked up yet another win in the B-Class car, and I think he showed that he might be one of the guys to watch here tonight as well. Would not be a surprise to see him up front. I don't see a lot of the oval guys doing anything out of the ordinary. Yeah, we might see a surprise here or there, but I think we've really mentioned him, the ones that are going to be ones to watch. Could Justin Bolton maybe be one? Yeah, possibly. But I don't think we're going to see any major surprises that we don't already expect to see. Watkins Glen sometimes is a great equalizer, and some of these drivers are thankful they still have a valid drop race to go, because I think a lot of them are going to pray this one is the drop race because they hate coming here. Because if it doesn't involve turning left, some of them, they simply just don't get it, it seems like.
Yeah, this one's going to be pretty exciting, and we'll have to see after this race where the drop sits, and for the next 4 races, who is going to be the contender. Obviously, Kenny Humpy is up top, but it's going to be for everybody second on back, and maybe if Humpy has some issues, it might very well open the door for guys behind him. Michael Conti is the only road course winner on the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series. We'll see if he can defend his win from 2014 here this evening. We're going to step away for just a few moments' time. We will bring you back to the starting grid for this evening's race at the Watkins Glen International. This is round number 12 of the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series, powered by iRacing.
Sorry, guys. I never would have thought making duck calls would have stirred up this much excitement.
No kidding. Got him coming up here.
Shortcut time!
That's what I'm talking about. You sure this is a good idea?
Oh, yeah. I got this. I can't guarantee you how this will end, but Peak can guarantee your radiator for life. Introducing the Peak Run True Guarantee. Check it out at peakguarantee.com.
Truex in the outside, contact made. 56 slides it at a 4. Who's going to be at the stripe? Dead even, give it to Ryan Truex. Truex is your winner over Tandy. Welcome back to the Watkins Glen International. We are getting ready to go racing for round number 12 of the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series powered by iRacing. Tony, looking at these final practice times, there's some quick cars out here, but are you seeing any surprises whatsoever?
No, not at all, Tim. Not at all, one iota. Nick Ottinger's fast, Kenny Humphrey, Corey Vincent, who has shown some speed the last few weeks. Remember, he picked himself up a win at the Kentucky Speedway about a month ago or so now. Matt Busa, again, not a surprise. Timo Ivonen, not a name we're used to hearing, but again, a road course specialist, so to speak. Again, not a surprise. Alan Bowes is in the top 10 here in final practice, and many others. The one surprise, maybe two surprises that I see, Ray Alfala's only 13th quickest. Mind you, he'll start 6th on the grid, but not really the speed in practice we expect out of the 2-car. So he's certainly one to look at as well as far as that's concerned. And you look a little further down, drivers like Brad Davies, Kevin King, they're also mired down deep in the practice charts and really with starting positions as well. So it's going to be fun to see some of those guys attempt to climb through the field.
And as we begin to go down our starting grid, it's almost like it didn't change from the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Nick Ottinger is going to start on the pole position with a 108.90. The driver that he had to pass to get that win in the late stages of the race, your point leader, is going to start on the outside of row number 1. That's Kenny Humphrey in the 58 with a time of 109.06. Third place going to belong to the 5 of Michael Conti. And on the outside is going to be the 57 car of PJ Sturgis. Matt Busa going to start in position number 5. Ray Alfala on the outside in position number 6. Timo Ivonen in the 99. Best start of the season going to start in 7th with Corey Vincent in 8th. Jake Sturgis and Justin Bolton complete your top 10 in the 41 and 36.
Next 10 starters are going to include the 21 of Alan Bowes. Michael J. Johnson will be at his outside in row number 6. Then it's Ryan Lowe and Benjamin Burmeister. They'll make up row number 7. Georgia driver Casey Tucker and Danny Hansen will start 15th and 16th respectively. Then it's 13 of Brad Mahar and 17th. The 6 of Trey Eidson and 18th. Chris Overland, the double clutch Menards Chevrolet, he'll start 19th. And Landon Harrison's famous number 89 will round out the top 20.
It's an all-team next row. It's Thomas Davis, the silent ninja, in the 83, and to his outside going to be the 29 car of Kevin King. Alex Warren's won a race this season. He is going to start on the inside of his teammate Tyler Hill in car number 9. Sasha Wessler in the 25 position in 31. Brian Blackford, car 33, going to start in 26. Brandon Schmidt, Brandon Bowie, your next row. And completing your top 30, Tony, it's Brad Davies and David Rattler. Completing your field is the 31 position, Tyler Hudson, the 01, Shane Doherty, the 91, Patrick Crabtree in the 15, Nathan Wise looking for a top 20 position in points, sitting in 34th, Alex Scribner, 35th, Rob Ackley, 36th, Stephen Gilbert in 37th, Andrew Fayash, the 3rd, in 38th, Cody Bias, Tyler Laughlin, and Brian Day did not take time. That concludes your 41 car field, getting ready for green. And Tony, when I was reading through the drivers meeting that series official Shannon Whitmore put out this week, he stressed one thing. Turn 1 and the S's on this first lap, be sure to give a little and not maybe take as much. That's going to be very hairy going up those first couple of corners. This is going to be a very exciting first opening lap or laps at this 50-lap event.
It certainly is, Tim, no doubt. Watkins Glen's always exciting, and sometimes it's those first few corners that will not win you the race, but they absolutely can lose you the race. 50 laps, an eternity here at Watkins Glen. Any other racetrack, it's a sprint race. Here, it's still a marathon. The field works their way down to the final 2 turns, turns 10 and 11. We're about ready to go racing road course style for the only time here in the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series this season.
A lot to watch here in these first couple of corners. Glad you could be with us on iRacing Live. Pace car into pit road. Humpy trying to get a little jump. Ottinger on the inside. Green, a flag flies. We are underway, and look at Conti already flashing the nose on the inside. Could we be 3 wide going into corner number 1? Ottinger drives it in, and Conti going to look to take second place on Humpy. Humpy trying to drive away with P2.
Wow, Michael Conti, what a drive from that peak driver up to position number 3 after starting. Well, he started in position number 3, but still, what a run he has had here at Watkins Glen really the past week or so. I think this is the benchmark that 5 team is needed to really reset their program and see exactly where they are at and get the confidence back to Mike Conti, because you win a championship, you know you can get the job done, but through all of these things, sometimes, Tim, it gets a little crazier. Further back, David Rattler and others, as they work through the bus stop, things are getting a little heated further back at about the 30th spot, and David Rattler, now already the snake has bitten him, it looks like.
Yeah, David Rattler got nailed by his teammate Patrick Crabtree. Just got nailed going into the bus stop, and he had to wait. But that is the least of his worries, Tony, because he has a lot of rear end damage to that race car. Patrick Crabtree gonna have a little bit of front end damage to the number 15, and we'll see if that causes any possible overheating issues on the Infinite Creative Solutions number 15 of Crabtree. There's a driver that started out strong this season, looking for a couple of good runs to really change his luck from the first couple of races this year. We'll see what he can do here in these remaining 5 races, but not starting out well for the 15 of Crabtree.
No, it really isn't. It's been a story of highs and lows, like you said, Tim, for Patrick Crabtree. Started out the season so good, so promising, coming from the Pro Series, and so far this season it's been a couple flashes of brilliance, and that's really been it. But again, something to build on for 2016, and maybe in these final few races try to get a little bit of momentum rolling for Patrick Crabtree, although that's not the kind of momentum you want to carry it all into your teammate going through the slowest part of the course in the inner loop. Tough break for Patrick Crabtree and for David Rattler. Their race is not over, but certainly hampered on lap number 1.
And as we continue to work here on lap number 2, I'm looking back to see Alan Bowes, where he's running in the 21 car. Talked about him running so good last week in the B-Class Series. Looks like he's up to 11th right now behind Justin Bolton in car number 36. They'll come down the front straightaway and complete lap number 2 of 50. That's where he started. Not gaining anything right now, but it looks like he's got a couple of positions ahead of him if he can turn up quick. But again, we've seen last week a little bit of conservation. I'm sure fuel strategy going to come into here as well. Pit strategy when you do come down pit road is going to play in here as well. We'll see what happens and see what transpires out of Alan Bowes. Expecting big things after last week.
Really is, Tim. When you look at the field tonight versus the field last week, take a look at this. The pole here tonight, 1 minute, 8 seconds, and 9/10. We'll just call it 69 seconds for the sake of argument. Through the entire field, everybody, for the most part, within 2 seconds of the pole time. That's incredible. 1.8 seconds separated the majority of the field here tonight. Simply phenomenal. Last week's Xfinity B-Class Series, not quite the case. About half the size of the field, and they were separated by that much. Tonight, 40 cars separated by less than 2 seconds. That is why the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series has the best teams and drivers in the world.
Let's take a look at Michael J. Johnson. He's got a webcam here this evening. You can see him work his race car, and right now he's working it from around position number 13 as he has Benjamin Burmeister just ahead of him, and behind is Ryan Lowe in car number 38. So status quo right now, about 7 seconds or so, Tony, behind the leader is Michael J. Johnson, but it's still early in this race. 4 laps being worked on the board. Nick Ottinger has completed 3 of the 50 laps thus far. Got about a half second or so on Kenny Humpy in car number 58, who about 2 car lengths behind is Michael Conti, and Conti's driving that thing through the bus stop trying to pick up some time on the peak number 58.
Well, remember, Tim, that's what we saw 1 week ago. Mike Conti was great early in the run, but that's exactly what he did. He manhandled that race car for all it was worth. It was almost like he was with a sumo wrestler, so to speak. And that's exactly what he's trying to continue here tonight. I don't know how long these virtual Goodyear Racing Eagles are going to last, but certainly he's going to give it a shot, no doubt, is Mike Conti. And Tim, a couple of drivers having issues already, speaking of problems and things that might not last. Landon Harrison and Tyler Hudson have come to pit road to serve a penalty for a qualifying procedure infraction. And when you don't have yellow flags in the race and you're already a lap down on lap 5, does not bode well for your evening here at the Glen.
Yeah, we're skimming through that email that they sent out for the drivers meeting. I believe they had to enter the world at the same time, and there was a couple of procedures that they had to follow for this qualifying session. They do about the same thing at the super speedways, so there must have been something there that those 2 drivers did not follow, and as you mentioned, right now their score is 1 lap down in positions number 40 and 41 respectively. So they're going to have to hope for some drivers to either in front of them fall out of the race, crash damage, miss their marks completely, hit something, fall out of the race. Landon Harrison, it's critical for him, and it is for Tyler Hudson as well, because they are both around that top 20 mark in the point standings. That's huge for them. They might have to use this race as their drop as much as they really don't want to.
They might be forced to, Tim, and some of these guys are in points races, if not for the championship, because that one's more or less locked up for Kenny Humpy. It's for the top 20, and those usually are a lot tighter than those at the top of the field because it's, by law of averages, much more average. You can't gain a lot, and sometimes you don't lose a lot in the middle. So if you have those bad races or those really good races, they can hurt or help you accordingly. And that's something those guys, I'm sure, will be looking at over the course of tonight to see where everything's going to shake out for the final few races of the 2015 season. Looking a little bit further back, Tim was not noticing lap times, well, not really further back, but further up, and looking at lap times. Nick Ottinger, simply impressive. 1 lap ago, well, almost 2 laps ago now, his last lap was a 1:09.1. His qualifying time was a 1:08.9. He's within 0.2 of his qualifying time. And Tim, it's not just him. It's Humpy, Conti, Sturgis, all those guys towards the front of the field. They're essentially running qualifying laps right now within 1 or 0.2 of a second. That is unheard of to keep that kind of pace up this early here at Watkins Glen.
I spoke to some of the guys from the team earlier this week, and the one thing that they mentioned about this race was something you just mentioned, Tony, is race pace, especially after lap number 5. We're working lap number 7 now. From this point on, whether these guys fall off at all, if these guys are still putting up qualifying laps or they're still putting up hot laps, if they fall off at all, that's what guys like Kenny Humpy, Kevin King, some of those guys that have been with this series for a little while and have done some road course racing, maybe not exactly with this series, but also with other series here within iRacing in the past, they said after lap number 5 or so on the stint is really when you're going to see some guys either fall closer back to the field or go a little bit closer to the front. If you want to get involved in iRacing, we got a great deal for you. You can get 3 months for the price of 1. You're also going to get the late model stock. The promo code is at the bottom of the screen. Write that down. If you're a new subscriber, head over to iRacing.com. Get signed up, put that promo code in there, and enjoy the late model stock. And Tony, that late model stock that comes with that promo, it's not only a good oval racing car, it's also a good road racing car as well. You can set that thing up to go left and right.
You really can. In fact, you can do that on here more so than you can in reality. It's just the way those things work. You can do it in reality. It involves a lot of money and a lot of effort. So it's kind of cool to take that car road racing here in the iRacing service. And Tim, it's amazing to me every time we come to a place like Watkins Glen or whatever to see how many real drivers utilize the sim as a tool. Take, for instance, 1 week ago, Sarah Corniching, NASCAR K&N Pro Series driver, was going to Watkins Glen, never been there, never had a clue, and what does she do? She goes on iRacing. She's like, I spent probably 1,500 laps on iRacing trying to learn the racetrack. She learned it. She was comfortable. Mind you, they had mechanical problems as soon as they showed up, and the engine ended up popping on lap 1. That might have been what happened in practice, I guess. But nonetheless, she felt 100% comfortable. And it's not just her, Tim. It's all these drivers throughout the world that race everything from late models to street stocks to the Cup Series, Formula One, and so forth. They use iRacing as such a training tool, and they love to have fun with it as well. It's not just great for training, but it's great to go out, release a little bit of stress, and race your buddies and not have to worry about paying the bill once you tear everything up.
We ride on board with Michael J. Johnson, and you're going to get a little bit of a taste of what goes on here at Watkins Glen International. Enjoy some of the onboard sights and sounds of Watkins Glen International as he works on the rear end of Benjamin Burmeister.
just like that, that's a lap around Watkins Glen. We can pick it up right there on the blind left-hander turn number 3. Tim, that is one of the scariest corners, I think, in all of auto racing. You're coming through at such a wide-open pace nearly, and it's so narrow. Yes, the track width doesn't change, but the speed, the curves, the line make it so narrow through there, and you've got to just hope you've got the car pointed in the right spot. Otherwise, you're going to eat a couple of faces full of Armco barrier. Probably one of the most challenging corners in all of auto racing is turns 2 through 4, really, here at Watkins Glen, especially turn 3, because it is so blind. As you come up over the hill, you just have to pick that point to aim at, as you saw with Michael J. Johnson. And so much footwork, so much handwork goes into getting around this road course. It really is an exhausting task.
Indeed it is, as the 39 continues to chase down that 66. And it's one thing to get around this racetrack, Tony. It's to get around it with all the traffic, and also pick up a few positions to make sure when you pass somebody, you don't miss your marks after you complete that pass or somebody completes a pass on you. Because if you have somebody in front of you like Michael J. Johnson does, somebody comes over and passes you, you go a little bit deeper in the corner trying to keep up or try to catch him, you end up putting him in the sand trap, or you end up putting him in the guardrail. It's not only going to end his night, it's likely going to end your night as well, as they go in to the bus stop here. Lap number 11 being worked on the board. Nick Ottinger continues to lead, and while we've been watching this and talking about Michael J. Johnson, Nick Ottinger has really turned the wick up. 2.1 seconds between your top two.
He is flying, Tim. Again, still pulling virtual qualifying laps. And I know when I talked to Nick Ottinger 2 weeks ago for the recap after his win in Indianapolis, again, off the air, he said the pace here, like you said earlier, is so grueling. But I think we've got something. As long as we can keep pace up, we will be good. He had just done some introductory testing at that point. He was very confident about what his Rheem Camry could have, and it looks like it was confidence well placed as he continues to motor away from the field. Speaking of motoring away further back, a couple of drivers to give a call to here early. The first one, the 83 of Thomas Davis. In just 12 laps, he's made himself up 4 or 5 spots. He is being shown 17th. Tyler Hill in the same boat. He's being shown 19th after starting 24th, a 5-position pickup. So a few drivers moving forward, and also Nathan Wise, the 24 car, probably the biggest gainer on the field so far. Tim started 34th. He's up to 24th, and he was 12th quickest in the final practice. So Nathan Wise, maybe a bad qualifying lap, biting him in the rear, but nonetheless, good to see the 24 car having a 24S run here at Watkins Glen.
And even Tyler Laughlin's moved up 10 positions as well. He's up to position number 30 and chasing down Shane Doherty in front of him for a spot. But Michael J. Johnson, 66, we rode on board with Michael J. Johnson a few laps ago, but he's still in the vicinity of the LRM number 66. He's on the back bumper of Benjamin Burmeister. And Tony, it looks like in this first part of the racetrack, down into corner number 1, up through the S's and into the bus stop, it looks like the 39 has it nailed down a little bit better than the 66 of Benjamin Burmeister. Great corner there for the 66, but the 39 seems to have it down a little bit better in the first half of the racetrack, and then Benjamin Burmeister seems to be a wee bit better after the bus stop on.
And Tim, that's one of the things about road courses. Certain sections suit certain drivers from a driving style perspective, setup, etc. And that's sometimes all it takes to hold on to a position. Now you see Johnson closing on Burmeister, really the closest he has been the last few laps as we work lap number 13. I think maybe Johnson's going to have a shot. He tries diamonding the carousel to shoot down the long straightaway, but cannot get the run. Burmeister is going to hold on to that spot for the time being, and all of this, Tim, happening 14 seconds behind the leader. Let that simmer for a minute. 14 seconds behind as we complete lap number 13. These guys are losing a second a lap to Nick Ottinger. The 05 car is flat, flying around Watkins Glen. He is going to have to hit somebody or something to have his shot at victory derailed, because that Rheem machine is just about like one of those water heaters. They are unstoppable and unbreakable the way it is tonight.
Tony, closest battle within the top 10, at least the last couple of laps, has been Timu Ivonen in the 99 in 9th, and Justin Bolton in position number 10. Bolton, I believe, may have had a little bit of a bobble coming up the S's. They go down to the bus stop this time, and now there's about 3 car lengths or so between the 99 and the 36. Bolton is running exactly where he started in position number 10. Timu has fallen back to position number 9, but the 36 car of Bolton seems to be picking up a little bit of speed these last couple laps, hitting his marks, but as I mentioned, I think going up in the S's, he may have missed his mark a little bit. He was in the back bumper of Timu going down the front straightaway, and now he's about 3 car lengths behind or so in the number 36.
And very easy again to do, Tim, here at Watkins Glen. One little slip, one little hiccup, you can lose major ground, but conversely, it's very easy to pick up ground when a guy in front of you slips and has his own little issue. You've got, unlike an oval track where you have, 4, 8, 12 chances to screw up, here you've got, 11 corners, shifting points, turn-in points, accelerate. You've got about 100 chances to screw up, so it's a lot more difficult here in a road course to hit your line perfectly lap after lap after lap. Most excellent drivers in road racing, they simply learn to minimize the errors. They know they're going to have them. They learn to overcome them within a lap and make the most of them, and that's how they stay as consistent as they do. There are a few aliens, so to speak, as we call them here on the iRacing service, that seem to do no wrong no matter what, but for the most part, those of us that are human and mortal, that's how we get around road courses. We minimize the mistakes and try to make sure we gain as much as we possibly can, even while losing.
And you got to remember, usually our races are about an hour and a half to 2 hours long, depending on when the caution flags fall and how many of them fall throughout the evening. But with no full course cautions here, this thing is probably going to last about an hour or so, give or take a little bit. But that 1 hour, these drivers that are in these race cars, they have to be up on the wheel for every single moment of it. They cannot miss a mark. If they go a little wide into corner number 1 or they overshoot the bus stop, you're going to lose a ton of time. You can't afford to miss your mark when it comes to a road course. You have to be on it for every single moment of this 50-lap event. We're working lap number 16 right now, and we talked about that battle between the 99 and the 36. They have company in the way of the 21 of Alan Bowes. Bowes has moved in to this battle here. A couple of car lengths between those 3, but it looked like Alan Bowes in the second portion of this racetrack has continued to excel, but looks like PJ Sturgis also has company, and they're only about a half second behind Michael Conti, so this could be shaping up to be good too.
Been a great battle up here in the tail end of the top 5. PJ Sturgis chasing down Michael Conti, or attempting to, and right on his rear fascia is Ray Alfala and Corey Vincent. And Vincent now gets a great run off turn number 11. He'll look down the inside. Drivers right here in the front straightaway. At the completion of lap number 16, Vincent can't quite make the move. I think he thought about it, but instead chose to stay in line. And really, it seems like one corner they're really in Michael Conti. Next corner, they're not. But nonetheless, this is a great 4-car battle for 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th as they work their way up the hill through the S's onto the back straightaway.
So the 57 car of PJ Sturgis continues to work in position number 4, and that's a name we usually associate with road course racing, PJ and Jake, and Jake's not doing too bad himself either. He's within the top 10 in position number 8, but PJ closing in on the 5 of Michael Conti, trying to hold off the Wendell Scott Foundation number 2 of Ray Alfala and Corey Vincent in car number 10. And Ray Alfala had a little bit of a post-race penalty a couple weeks ago, Tony. Was moved to the rear end of the lead lap for, I believe, throwing a block. Lost a bunch of points, and that's why when we left the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, it was about 100 points and change between himself and Kenny Humpy, but now it's 131 points. So an even bigger blow to that number 2 team. Still second place in the point standings. The only difference is, Tony, is that he's a little bit closer to those guys that are 3rd, 4th, and 5th than he was when we initially left the Yard of Bricks.
And you know that's got to be frustrating to Ray Alfala. It's not the first time he's been involved in issues like that this season. He's had a couple of dust-ups. Nothing that's really set his season back substantially, but every little bit, every now and then, really hurts, especially when you're trying to chase down a guy as dominant as Kenny Humpy. And again, 2 races, essentially, worth of points on the field. Just unheard of domination here in the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series. Kenny Humpy, like you said earlier, they might as well be engraving the trophy for the championship. The check is being printed as we speak because it really is one of those deals of if he blows this one, it will be one of the all-time epic failures in all of sports. That's how big of a lead that Kenny Humphrey has on the field. But still, don't get him wrong. These guys are all racing for pride, Tim. Second place means a lot. It's got a huge cash value, as does third, fourth, and fifth. Prizes all throughout the top 10. So there's a lot more to race for besides just that championship. And Ray Alfalla doing his best now as we work back to turn 1 to try to hold on to second place in points. He rides in fifth now through the right-hander and back up the hill to the S's. 18 laps in the books. Very quickly closing in on 40% distance in this one. And it is going by, as we said, in a hurry.
Our first retiree of the evening is Tyler Laughlin, and Tony, I'm not quite sure what happened with the 51 car. He pulls it down into pit road at the completion of lap 16. He and Alex Scribner had a fantastic little battle. He and Andrew Fayash, the third, also had an interesting battle. He gets loose in the second to last corner. It's almost like the car loses power, and then he pulls it down onto pit road and calls it a night. I'm not quite sure what happened to the 51. But the 51 will be the first retiree of the evening. The 24 and the 9 are side-by-side. That is Nathan Wise. Well, it's not a side-by-side battle anymore because the 24 car will pull that position away. But, yeah, I'm not sure what happened to the 51, but it looks like he just threw in the towel.
Yeah, something weird there, Tim. Not sure whether he had a hardware failure or what, but something on his machine obviously awry because he lost about 3 spots or so in that one lap that came to pit road and decided he wanted to park it. So something again amiss on Tyler Laughlin's car. Tough break for the driver of the number 51. Another driver that has taken it behind the wall, Sasha Wessler, is back in the garage area with electrical problems, so he is being scored in the 40th spot here tonight. Not a good couple of laps for drivers that have been having issues or so, as now Nathan Wise crosses the stripe up to 19th with that pass on Tyler Hill. And Tim, that is 15 spots for Nathan Wise. So far, by far, the hard charger of the race. A lot of drivers have made up spots, but nobody anywhere close to Nathan Wise. The downside is he's 30 seconds off the lead. And while he'll still probably have a solid finish tonight, makes you wonder what would happen if he could have had a solid qualifying run and not had to chase down Nick Ottinger for the rest of this one.
You're right on board with car number 2 of Ray Alfalla. He's battling the 57 and the 10, and to your point, Tony, he sits in position number 20. I'm talking Nathan Wise. Without that one drop race, he sits in 20th, 5 points up on Danny Hansen. So that is key. If he can get up here and gain a few points, that is great when it comes to the top 20 battle. And looking for Danny Hansen's name here. Danny Hansen is sitting up here in position, well, number 32. So there's some time to be made and some points to be made. 39 car of Michael J. Johnson making a move here down into corner number 1, and Burmeister goes to the outside, and that's the battle that's been brewing for a few laps, Tony, and it looks like Burmeister has just not only lost to 39, he's also lost a position, and I believe that's number 28.
That is Casey Tucker that took the spot here with 20 laps now complete. Look at Tucker trying to work over Michael J. Johnson. Johnson drives defense.
So the 39 car, Michael J. Johnson, will continue to navigate around here. The 28 of Casey Tucker is there. And Tony, I think you're back here. You almost like you got a little too excited there.
I shorted the switches out by spilling sweet tea all over it. But great battle, great defensive posturing, defensive maneuver by the 39 of Michael J. Johnson. And I think Casey Tucker might be a little frustrated. Now here he looks down the front straightaway. Tucker might have a shot as we've got cars coming down pit lane, including Ryan Lowe, I believe it was, or check that, Ryan Lowe and PJ Sturgis coming down pit road. Nonetheless, this great battle for the 12th spot continues to rage up the hill, and I'm surprised, Tim, we're seeing pit stops this early.
Evonen onto pit road as well, and Tony, I'm not really surprised. I remember last week these guys could go about 22 laps on fuel. I don't know if anybody can stretch to make it one stop, or does anybody really want to? Because with this racetrack being so huge, if you run out of fuel at the wrong place, it's going to end your night for good. The 05 car of Ottinger going to bypass pit road this time. but I believe there are going to be some drivers behind him come on to pit road. Humpy stays in the racetrack, but Michael Conti is going to come down pit road. Ray Alfala is going to follow him, as is Corey Vincent, and Vincent nearly stormed the line and nearly stormed the back end of the 2.
He came awfully close to plowing into the back of Ray Alfala's Ford. Didn't happen, however, as that Ford and Chevrolet tandem will make their way down the pit.
So as Tony tries to get the sweet tea out of the wires once again, Ottinger will continue to lead this thing under green, lap number 23, being worked on the board. And keep in mind, this is a 50-lap race, so these guys are probably going to have to come down pit road at least one more time here this evening. We'll have to see if any of the strategy does play out in this one. Ottinger works through the final couple of corners here, and we'll see if the Ream Camry does decide to come down pit road on this lap number 23 to be completed right here, and we'll see if the 05 car decides to peel off and go to pit road. The 05 stays out on the racetrack, Tony.
Tim, I don't see these guys pitting if they don't think they can make it. If they couldn't make it, it makes no logical sense to break this race up into 3 segments of long, and really, super short. So I see this race being a one-stop race, and everybody now is trying to make up time by short pitting. Kenny Humpy hasn't short pitted, Kenny Humpy has short pitted. He is on pit road now as we speak. Second place, Kenny Humpy will come to the service of the Peak Antifreeze crew. They will go around to the left side of his Chevrolet. 5 off, 5 on, a full tank of virtual Sunoco racing fuel, and we expect Kenny Humpy to be down and away, and he should cycle around to be in second spot. The question is Nick Ottinger. And again, I see this being a one-stop race, Tim, for everyone. It's simply a matter of how long you want to make each stint. I think Ottinger is in position to make the final stint as short as he would like. As the leader, everybody else has to play to the hand that Nick Ottinger is trying to deal.
I could be wrong, but I think most of the leaders have come down pit road, except for Ottinger. We expect the 05 in this time. No, Ottinger's going to stay out on the racetrack. Is he going to do this in one stop here tonight?
Sure is, Tim. He just ran 24 laps and change. When he makes it back around, it'll be lap number 25. Mind you, there was also a pace lap at the beginning of this race. Nick Ottinger is making this a one-stop show, but again, I think everybody else is as well. They simply got within their window of 26, 28 laps and said, all right, I can go it from here. Let me try to get position now with fresh tires and see what I can fend off later in the race. Nick Ottinger, again, as the leader, can do as he pleases. He'll probably be down pit road this time and split this race completely and perfectly in half. And again, stays in command in front of everybody who's nearly 30-some seconds behind him.
He puts Tyler Hudson a second lap down, but Tyler should get that lap back when Ottinger comes down to pit road. We expect this time by Brian Blackford, also behind these two in the Wendell Scott Foundation, number 33. So the 05 of Nick Ottinger going to split this thing in half. He'll come by this time and complete half of this race. The 05 coming down right now to the attention of his crew. So he'll come by. He'll probably trip the scoring loop on pit road. We're halfway in round number 12. 25 down and 25 to go. And Ottinger is one of the last, Tony, to come down onto pit road. He'll lead this lap here.
One of, if not the last driver to hit the pit lane. Ottinger nearly going to have an incident on pit lane. Very heads-up driving around the 32, the Segpay Ford of Danny Hansen. Ottinger hits his marks perfectly in the stall. The Ream team around to the left side, 5 off, 5 on. No adjustments for Nick Ottinger, and he will top off the tank with a full can or 2 of virtual Sunoco racing fuel. Down and away for Ottinger, Tyler Hudson right to driver's left. Ottinger will get away unscathed, and look at this. Michael Conti very close to Nick Ottinger, but not close enough. The distance, about 30 car lengths between them. Nick Ottinger keeps the lead as we work in the second half of this race with now 25 laps complete.
And between Conti and Ottinger, with the exception of Hudson, is Kenny Humpy. Humpy runs in position number 2, about a second or so ahead of Michael Conti. PJ Sturgis in 4th, and Ray Alfala comes off pit road in position at number 5. And it's the 2 and the 10 continuing their battle, Tony, as they go through the bus stop. The 10 all over the back bumper of the 2, looking to the inside there.
And Ray Alfala, I don't know what or who he hit, Tim, But that Ford has got substantial damage on the nose. Wow. Luckily, it appears to be simply cosmetic, but Ray Alfala is going to have to deal with that for the rest of this race, and that will certainly affect the handling of the number 2. He's going to have to drive through that the rest of the night. That might be a little easier said than done. The only saving grace for Ray Alfala, this field is strung out. Cautions are not going to be an issue. So while he might lose some spots, it's not nearly as bad as it could be if this were an oval with regular caution rules applied. Watch out, Alfala. Just about wheel hopped it in turn 1. That's going to allow Corey Vincent to get inside of him going up the hill. This is a great tussle, and look at Alfala fighting back on driver's left. He does not want to give that spot up to Corey Vincent. What an effort by Ray Alfala, and finally Vincent's going to nose ahead, 26.5 laps down. Corey Vincent finally moves into the top 5. Ray Alfala now relegated back to 6th.
And those drivers battling hard for that position. Ray Alfala did not want to give it up, but Tony, I'm not sure if we have a replay of what happened on pit road, but when they came off pit road, Ray Alfala was racing Michael Conti on that small little access road coming off of pit road. Ray was on the outside, and Ray overcooked it a little bit by the looks of it and put it into the Armco coming off of pit road, and that is where all the damage comes from. You can't fault Ray for trying to get that position, but there wasn't a whole lot of room there to go too wide, and especially when you're cooking it around there, trying to get as much speed as you can. If you're one car trying to do it, you want to have as much room as you can. Nice little tussle off pit road, but it bites Ray Alfala.
Tim, you can gain a lot of time coming off pit lane here if you can really hit your marks on cold tires, but you can lose so much more if you miss it. And Ray Alfala unfortunately missed it. I think he has thrown a wrench into the rest of this race for the number 2 crew. He's going to keep digging the best he can, but it's not going to be the same as what he had in the first half of the race. Further back behind them, great battle from about, the 8th spot on back. Really the Justin Bolton car is there. The 36, Timo Ivonen, a few car lengths behind him. Jake Sturgis is there as well. And Alan Bowes knocking on the door of the top 10. And just ahead of them, Matt Busa might be in their sights too. 5 cars down the long straightaway towards turn number 10. Great battle here for position as they work into the left and right combination that leads them back to the front straightaway.
And we saw earlier Justin Bolton working over the back bumper of Timo Ivonen for that position, and finally gets by him, moves him up to position number 8 after starting in position number 10. Sturgis behind them. Alan Bowes not too far off that pace as well. And as you mentioned, it's a nice little battle for position, and if they can get on and get to stepping, they're going to catch Matt Busa as well in car number 34. So a nice little battle for position. Corey Vincent and Ray Alfala running up just in front of them, about 2 seconds up on them. Meanwhile, up in front, Ottinger still leads Kenny Humpy by about 3.5 seconds. This is the best battle on the racetrack for about 7th on back.
And speaking of Nick Ottinger, while you watched this battle, Tim, 2 laps ago, he virtually equaled his qualifying lap. Ottinger continues to click him off like there is no tomorrow. Junior Johnson would be proud. He always told his drivers, click him off like you're qualifying every lap. It's exactly what Nick Ottinger is doing as we continue to watch this battle further back at the tail end of the top 10. All the while, this group is inhaling Ray Alfala. He has lost nearly a second to Corey Vincent in the last lap and a half, and this group, no different. They have gained about a second to a second and a half on Ray Alfala, so we anticipate them disposing of the 2 car in short order.
So Ottinger continues to pace the field up in front, and a little bit of clear sailing before he hits David Rattler, or gets up on David Rattler as Rattler works at the top of the S's. Ottinger does the same, so a little bit of lap traffic there for Mr. Ottinger to contend with, but we'll see what he can do here. The battle continues to heat up through the S's for this 5-car battle for 7th on back, and it looks like clean through the S's, they'll head up towards a bus stop on lap number 30. We got 20.5 laps to go.
Things are picking up rather quickly, Tim. 20 laps, again, doesn't sound like much. In reality, it isn't. But it's also an eternity here at Watkins Glen. 11 corners each lap. That's 220 plus chances to make a mistake. Really more like 660 or more chances to make a mistake between entry, center, and exit, not to mention your shifting points throughout the lap. So a lot of time still left for everyone to make up or lose spots. And Watch out, Timo Ivonen. That was just about ugly over in turn number 10. And behind him, look at this. Sturgis gets by, and now the 21 of Alan Bowes trying to find a way around. That'll move Alan Bowes into the top 10 if he can make it stick. Into turn number 1. Bowes will drive it in deep up the racetrack. Maybe no. Looks like Timo Ivonen get a rim ride around the outside on turn 1. He'll hold the spot. Alan Bowes still forced to ride in 11th. All of this again at the tail end of the top 10, battle for 10th with 30 laps complete.
And with Jake Sturgis getting by Timu tried to set up Jake Sturgis for a pass, got a little bit sideways, did the 99, and the 21 was all up on him, and that's what Alan Bowes needed to pick up the 99 or close in on the number 99, and now you see that battle for position number 10 as they go through the bus stop and work through the corners here. Look at the 21, get that run. You ride on the roof of Alan Bowes, and Bowes is poised for a top 10 run. The only thing standing between him and a top 10 run right now is that number 99 car in front of him. The 21 got a great run into here the last time. He almost gets into the 99, almost overshoots the corner, and he's going to lose a little bit of time there on Timu.
Tim, the one thing I worry about watching this battle with Alan Bowes and Timo Ivonen, when you get to racing this hard on a road course, it's very easy to overcook the corner, and especially right here in turn 1, if you overcook it too much, that dreaded wheel hop. Those rear wheels begin to lock up and bounce across the pavement, sending the car in an out-of-control spin usually. Good drive, right, let me back up. Great drivers can catch it. They have to work the brake pedal and work the wheel. They'll lose a bunch of time, but they can catch the car before it becomes disastrous. Otherwise, drivers very often don't realize what's happening until it's too late. Alan Bowes has come very close a few times. This might be another opportunity, but Timo slams the door. Fantastic break is back here in the 10th spot. Now a little bumper tag. Alan Bowes not happy with the time he's losing. I think he's about ready to move Timo Ivonen if he does not go ahead and get out of the way.
He's made a couple of charges in the last couple laps to try to get Timu off his game a little bit. We'll see if Alan Bowes can make up a little bit of time here as he lost some time. Going into that bus stop, Tony, a near miss for the 99 and 21, but now Alan Bowes is going to have to reset his sights, get back into that rhythm that we talked about a little bit earlier, and try to catch car number 99 of Timo Ivonen. Up in front, Nick Ottinger continues to pull away. It's 4.7 seconds between your top two. Conti in third. PJ Sturgis in position number 4, but he's got Corey Vincent about 5 car lengths or so behind him as Matt Busa has caught Ray Alfala, and he'll try to make the move for position number 6. And Tony, he's not too far back, or a couple of his friends.
Yes, Justin Bolton is right there. Jake Sturgis. Remember, this was the battle we were watching a moment ago that had Timo Ivonen and Alan Bowes in the middle of it. But those two in their own little battle, they have separated themselves, and not for the better, from this group. They have fallen behind that trio as they work, and not really a quartet, as they work down the long straightaway before turn number 10. And Tim, you've really got a feel for Ray Alfala. That car very good. He had a chance at a solid run here tonight. Unfortunately, just did not work out after that gamble on the pit lane, and that damage seems to really, really be hampering Ray Alfala. You might think why. There's not a lot of aerodynamics here at Watkins Glen. You're correct in that the corners are fairly low speed, exception being maybe the S's here. But down that back straightaway where you reach speeds in excess of 175 miles per hour, any crinkle in the fender can be huge. And Ray Alfala is living proof of that now as Matt Busa is breathing down his neck here on lap number 34. Might be the 34th lap when car 34 moves into the top 6.
And they're going to come up with some lap traffic as well. Tyler Hudson just ahead of this little battle here. So we'll see if the 2 and the 34 can navigate the 01 car, and see if Matt Busa can make his way past the 2 of Ray Alfala as 2 and 34 battle for position number 6. With the 01 car of Tyler Hudson just ahead of them, and the battle begins to heat up for 4th as well as Corey Vincent on the move, and he is looking at PJ Sturgis.
They're in traffic at the moment, Tim, trying to work around Patrick Crabtree. David Rattler is just ahead of them, and hello, Corey Vincent. Thought about, nearly did make it 3 wide around the Patrick Crabtree car. That's going to allow Sturgis to skirt away ever so slightly, and what was a fantastic battle is going to simmer down, at least for the time being, as PJ Sturgis will hold on to that 4th spot over Corey Vincent. Vincent is going to have to reel him back in one more time as they work up the hill through the S's.
Oh, and Tyler Hudson and the 41 of Jake Sturgis nearly have a moment there going down into corner number 1. Tyler Hudson will let the 41 car pass. The 2 and the 34 made that move, Tony, going down into corner number 1 to pass the 01 of Tyler Hudson, and now Busa sets his sights in the 2. We'll see if he can make a move into the bus stop, maybe outbrake the number 2. Not going to get there in time. Alfala continues to lead, but now it's a 3-car battle because Jake Sturgis is there and not too far behind the 34 of 36, check that, of Justin Bolton.
And Tim, what we saw earlier in this battle, I'm sure we're going to see again. Ray Alfala took how long to let but before he finally was forced to let Corey Vincent around. Ray is no spring chicken by any means. He is a veteran. He knows every trick to make his car as wide as he possibly can, to make that car difficult to pass. And make no mistake, he will do the exact same thing to Matt Busa, to Jake Sturgis, to Justin Bolton, because Ray knows every position is invaluable to the championship hunt. He will do everything he can to hold on to it. Problem is, they're now encountering a little bit of traffic in the form of Patrick Crabtree in the 15, and that might be Ray Alfala's downfall. He can't run his race, his line, with his braking points, etc., and that might just open the door for Matt Busa down the back straightaway. Busa thought about it. He'll look to the outside in the inner loop. Can't make it happen. Alfala will hold on as they work through the bus stop.
And it's going to be Sturgis and Bolton just behind them as they continue to go on. And you mentioned that battle. Ray Alfala did not roll over for Corey Vincent. Vincent had to earn that position. And when you think about it, Ray Alfala, yes, he's trying to chase down Kenny Humpy in the point standings. But on the other side of it, too, he's trying to hold on to position number 2 in the standings. And if he loses these 3 spots, it's 3 more points that he is going to lose to Kenny Humpy in the standings. The 34 of Busa looked at the 2 in the final corner there. They'll come up on the front straightaway. We'll see if Busa throws it into corner number 1. Might be too far behind to make the opportunity this time. 14 laps to go for this little pack, and they are about 20 seconds or so behind Nick Ottinger.
Ottinger continues to blister this field, Tim. Nobody has got anything for the 05, but that doesn't mean the racing is slacking behind him. It is fantastic from second on back, and really this battle from about 6, 7, 8 through really the end of the top 10, fantastic as Alfala trying to hold on to the spot over Busa and Sturgis. As we get closer and closer to the end of this one, Tim, each driver becomes more and more apt to use the chrome horn, to use a little steel persuasion, if you will, to try to get around the guy in front of them. Busa dips it off onto the grass briefly, and now they head down to turn number 10. He'll look to the inside, peeks the nose to the bottom. Nothing there on driver's left. To the left-hander that is turn 10. Now back to the right-hander. Matt Busa again looks to the outside of the corner, trying to set up Ray Alfala down the front straightaway. And Matt Busa this time should have a run. He'll pull alongside of Ray Alfala. It's a drag race to turn 1. Who will outbrake who? Ray Alfala going to lose a spot to Matt Busa as they'll draw even in turn number 1. Busa, preferred lane, heading to turn number 2. But, of course, this is the same song and dance we saw with Corey Vincent. Ray Alfala did not give up on Corey Vincent. Same now with Matt Busa. And Busa is in danger of losing his spot to Sturgis, as now Sturgis looks around the 34 down the back straightaway.
Down the back straightaway we go, and we'll work towards the bus stop. The 41 of Sturgis all over the back bumper. The 34 of Matt Busa. Busa trying to hold on to position at number 7 as they work through the 2 of Ray Alfala. This gives him a little breathing room, Tony. Gives him a little chance for a little bit of an insurance policy at this point on this lap. But you better believe that Busa is going to be fighting back here. Jake Sturgis and Justin Bolton on the back end of this battle as well as we work up on the final couple of corners. We'll head down the front straightaway here and complete lap number 38. We've got 12 laps to go this time by, and we'll see if Matt Busa can make a charge on Ray Alfala. And Tony, it looks like from the lap times, these guys are turning on average about 110 to 111 lap times, which isn't too far off what PJ Sturgis and Corey Vincent are turning for position number 4. And keep in mind, they're battling for position number 4 too.
They are. In fact, that pair is separated by just a couple of tenths of a second as they spill onto the back straightaway. And it's just the 2 of them. Mano y mano, no traffic around. Sturgis has that spot. Corey Vincent rides in 5th. and he has been stalking the last row Motorsports number 57 lap after lap after lap. So far, the Ford is maintaining position in front of the Chevrolet of Corey Vincent, but those two have been a pair to watch as well as they continue to circulate here at Watkins Glen. And now Corey Vincent, about as close as he has been every single lap, he'll dart to the outside, driver's right of turn number 10. Can't get the job done. Sturgis, another driver, Tim, doing a masterful job of driving defensively, trying to hold position here at Watkins Glen, but it might be for naught as they work off the final turn this time.
We'll see if the 10 can go to the inside here, getting the run off the final corner down the front straightaway. He flashes the bumper to the inside of the 57 car, down into corner number 1, and it looked like he may have 57 outbraked the 10 of Corey Vincent just a wee bit to keep that position, as the 2 of Ray Alfala behind them continues to hold off over Busa, Sturgis, and Justin Bolton. So these battles are going to come down to the final 10 laps. Here goes the 10, looking to the driver's right of Sturgis, not going to get there before the bus stop.
It's almost like Corey Vincent realizes this is the final spot he's going to have a realistic chance to get. He does not want to throw his race away by a false move with so much time left him. Very cold and calculated is Corey Vincent here tonight, trying to crack the top 4 and get around the 57 of Sturgis. Lap after lap, that car seems to be faster where it matters. He just has yet to be able to get far enough up on Sturgis to claim that spot. But I think Corey Vincent, very calculated and very deliberate, trying to find a way around the 57 of PJ Sturgis. He'll get there. It's just a matter of when, not if, as the battle behind them with Ray Alfala, Matt Busa, Jake Sturgis. That one's still just as hot as it has been. Busa again looks to the inside in turn 1, but he's not close enough to pull it off. I think he's beginning to get just a little bit frustrated with Ray Alfala as that foursome works their way out of turn 1 and up the hill.
Continuing to work here, 10 laps remaining at the Watkins Glen International, and with Matt Busa running behind the number 2 of Ray Alfala, it's almost like the battle back there between Timu Ivonen and Alan Bowes. There's a little bit of a gap in between those two, but you saw those guys run hard for a few laps, and then it subsides a little bit. But now Busa's on the back bumper of the 2. He's got the 41 on the back bumper of him. Great run out of the bus stop for the number 34 of Busa. He's all over the back bumper of the 2. You mentioned the chrome horn, something we see on a lot of short tracks, Tony. If you're Matt Busa, do you think about moving the 2-time champion?
Of course you do, Tim. It's a position. Do you do it when he can get back to you? No. But if you need to, you do it. It's that simple. Very, very quickly, I should say, over the last, 5 or 6 years, these road courses on any of the NASCAR series, whether it's the Cup Series, the Xfinity Series, the K&N Pro Series, whatever it happens to be, they have become the next generation of slugfest. We used to go to the short tracks and still do go to the short tracks to expect a slobber knocker, an all-out 10-round, 11-round, whatever it is, fight. And we get that. But at a road course, it's become the same thing. And now there's a battle for that 4th spot again with Vincent and Sturgis. They just traded blows through the S's. Sturgis holds on to the spot in position number 4. But these road courses have become the next physical meeting ground for teams and drivers to vent their frustrations, to lean on one another, and to, well, simply get the job done however means it takes, whatever means necessary, as they work again. Lap number 42, Ottinger has crossed the stripe to complete lap 42 with 8 circuits to go, but behind him, once again, Tim, fantastic racing. Sturgis and Vincent battling for 4th. Alfala and 3 others battling for 6th. Ivonen and Bowes that into the top 10. Just spectacular showings here at the Glen.
So PJ Sturgis, Corey Vincent up in front for 4th and 5th. They go down into corner number 1. Status quo there. Alfala has Busa on his back bumper, and the 34 storms corner number 1, but cannot make the move on the number 2 of Ray Alfala. It's going to come down to these final couple of laps to determine these positions. If you're trying to figure out who's running up front, it's Ottinger, Humpy, and Conti. 4 seconds between your top 2 and 5 seconds between those next 2. As the 34 makes a move on the 2, he's got to run through the S's and down towards the bus stop, and he's on the wrong side of it. The 34 of Matt Busa almost made it happen.
Tim, we said it earlier, Ray Alfala is no slouch. He is not going to move over for Matt Busa. He is going to do everything possible to drive as defensively as he can, to retain that position. That was perfect evidence of it heading into the bus stop. Busa got the run. Alfala said, that's fine. I'll take the inside lane to the next corner and make you go around the hard way. And by doing so, he held on to the spot one more time. And as we said, Busa has got to be getting frustrated, and we might see that Toyota move the Ford if he doesn't get around him soon. Another run out of the final turn. This time, Busa is going to have the preferred lane in turn 1. But remember last time we saw this again, Tim, Alfala fought back through the S's. Busa this time again, not quite up to the door of Alfala. And Ray going to hold on to the spot for the time being, again up the hill.
Alfala trying to hold on to this position. And you mentioned it, Tony, whatever it means to keep that position, do so, especially in these last couple of laps. The 34 now having to hold off the 41 as well. And the 34 is in one of those positions, Tony, where yes, you need to hold on to your spot, but you also need to get that too, because you know that you're faster than him. Maybe try to move him out of the way a little bit. But oh, by the way, if something does happen that you have a misstep for this position, Justin Bolton's right there too. Timu and Alan Bowes are only 2 seconds behind you, or 2.5 seconds behind you. There's not much that you can do. There's no room for error in these final 6 laps as they'll come up down the front straightaway. One more corner to get here, and then they'll see 6 laps to go.
Matt Busa is in a very unenviable position of trying to drive defensively and offensively at the same time. And look at this, again, Alfala, the defensive line in turn 1. He'll have the preferred groove through the right-hander, and Busa forced to fall back again to position number 7. But this time he'll get the crossover and try to use that to his advantage up the hill. He'll have the preferred lane in 2 of the 3 corners. Alfala the preferred lane left-hander, and guess what? Just as you spoke about, Tim, here comes Busa under attack from Sturgis, and now Alfala has to pick which lane he wants. He's got a couple of hungry hounds behind him. Somehow they cycle back just as they started the lap. Busa in 7th, Sturgis 8th, and 9th with the best seat in the house, the 36 of Justin Bolton.
Yeah, Bolton's right there waiting for something to happen, and I don't think at this point Bolton really sticks his nose in there, because if something happens to a Busa or a Sturgis or a Ray Alfala just in front of them, they'll do that. But it looks like Vincent and Sturgis in front of them going at it, and Corey Vincent has taken 4th.
Vincent completed the pass in the left-hander, turn number 10. Lap after lap, he worked over PJ Sturgis, and eventually he got by. And like we said, Tim, it's 8 seconds, 9 seconds between them and third place Michael Conti. Corey Vincent knew that's the last position he could realistically pick up tonight. He did so, and now he's beginning to pull away from Sturgis. Corey Vincent setting sail for a top 4 run, and that's certainly good news for the 10 car. And now we can turn all of our attention behind him to that 4-car battle for position number 6. It has been by far the shining star on this race. A lot of great racing through the field. Ryan Lowe and Michael J. Johnson right now are at it. Nathan Wise is moving forward. Thomas Davis, Tyler Hill, Kevin King, Brian Blackford. Great battles throughout the field, but this one is spectacular. And what a great piece of driving by the former series champion, the only repeat series champion in the Peak Antifreeze series, Ray Alfala, proving why, in fact, he earned those 2 titles.
But you have to believe Matt Busa, Jake Sturgis, and even Justin Bolton back here in this little train getting a wee bit impatient with car number 2. It's just a matter of if the door opens again. You know, 5 laps ago, 10 laps ago, Tony, when the 34 tried to make the move on the 2, may have been a little more cautious because, well, there is a few laps to go. But now there's the sense of urgency to try to get up a couple of positions. It looks like Alan Bowes and Timo Ivonen have changed positions over there, and they may have changed some color swatches on the
Tim,
numbers.
yeah, actually going into turn number 10, they made contact, and both of them went for a trip into the gravel pit. But Alan Bowes finally had enough of Timo Ivonen and said, dude, I'm not taking it anymore. Get out of my way. You've cost me enough time on track. So Alan Bowes up to position number 10, but because he wasted so much time, Tim, trying to get around Timo Ivonen, Alan Bowes, without problems with that group in front of him, is pretty much locked in the 10th spot with 46 laps complete, 47, as Nick Ottinger comes around the stripe this time.
Yeah, you'll see the replay of it there, and there's definitely a fight over real estate between those 2 drivers in that battle. As you see Nick Ottinger out in front, he's extended it to 6 seconds. 3 laps remaining for the leader. Ray Alfala, Matt Busa, Jake Sturgis, and Justin Bolton continue to be the battle on the racetrack right now for position 6 on back. 34 continues to hold off that 41, and it looks like Ray Alfala the last couple laps has been just a touch better. We'll see if he can continue to be so over these next 3 laps.
He's been a touch better on the stopwatch, Tim, but I wonder why. Is that simply a matter of Ray digging down deep, finding that extra bit, or is it simply a matter of Matt Busa trying to back up and get a run on Ray Alfala, cooling his brakes, cooling his tires, trying to make one final attempt to get around the number 2 and crack position number 6. Either one's a very viable option, and it could just simply be Matt Busa cooling his own jets inside his helmet, trying to say, don't do anything stupid. It's going to cost yourself a great run here tonight.
And you got to remember as well, Busa is sitting position number 8 without the drop when it comes to the point standings. He is locked in a nice little battle all the way back from about 3rd, 4th on back in the standings. So, yeah, a 7th place run is going to be a great run for the 34 of Busa, but how hard does he push to get that extra point per se and try to make up a little bit more time? That could mean the difference between a 5th place run here this season, Tony, and maybe a 6th or 7th place run when it comes down to the end of the season and the pay window does open. 2 laps to go now. Ottinger continues to lead, but that battle for position number 6 is far from over.
Far from over, but we are close to the finish, so somebody has got to do something here if they want the spot. It's a matter, I think, at this point, Tim, of who wants it worse. Ray Alfala, Matt Busa, Sturgis, Bolton. Who really, really wants to finish in position number 6? At the moment, it's the 2 of Ray Alfala. Again, look at him. The defensive line down the back straightaway, trying to make Matt Busa work the hard way around him. I think Busa has realized what's going to happen. He's got to set it up to where Ray Alfala cannot take that lane. He's going to have a spectacular run on the 2. Just that absolute slingshot maneuver to get around him. And he's quickly running out of time, laps, and opportunities to do so because Nick Ottinger just came across the stripe. He has taken the white flag. 2.4 miles and change remaining for Nick Ottinger, and he could be on cruise control to his 2nd consecutive NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series victory, and this one will come here at the historic Watkins Glen International Racecourse.
Final lap of competition. Nick Ottinger 7 seconds ahead of Kenny Humpy. He's going to have to navigate a lap car here of car number 3 of Brandon Schmidt before he gets to the finish of this one. He won at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway 2 weeks ago in our last round. He is vying for a top 20 spot in the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series to lock himself into the series for 2016. Former point championship contender, and Ottinger really hitting his stride in the second half of this season. He'll come up off the final corner. The checkered flag is in sight, and round number 12 of the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series from Watkins Glen International is going to go to Nick Ottinger, and Ottinger going to go to victory lane. Tony Stevens, battle for 6th.
Battle for 6 coming off the carousel down the long straightaway. Matt Busa's got 1, maybe 2 attempts to get around Ray Alfala. He looked to the inside. Ray again drove defensively. Busa's got the right-hander in turn 11. Does he drive it in there and move the 2? He's not close enough. And what a drive by Ray Alfala to hold on to 6th spot. Miraculously, he will claim it over Busa, Sturgis, and Bolton. And the 10th spot will be Alan Bowes. Fantastic race here at Watkins Glen, Tim. I do not think we could have ordered up a better event here at the historic road course. And one thing is for certain, Kenny Humpy in 2nd spot. That championship, go ahead and sharpen the engraving tool. 4 races and essentially 2 races worth of points between himself and 2nd place. I don't want to say he's got this one ironed up and ready to go, but it's pretty much Kenny Humpy's to lose, I believe.
The goose is in the oven, and the goose is about cooked for the rest of the field. It's getting crispy right now, Tony. We'll wait to see what happens in at least the next 2 rounds of the series. You mentioned at least 2 races on the rest of the field. We'll see how the drop plays out. But before we talk points, we're going to talk victory lane. Nick Ottinger going to come up on the front straightaway, and he will celebrate here at Watkins Glen International. Kenny Humpy finishes 2nd. Michael Conti in 3rd. Corey Vincent and PJ Sturgis, your top 5. We'll step away for just a few moments' time, and we'll bring you back to the post-race show where we will talk to your top 5 finishers. Don't go away.
Sorry, guys. I never would have thought making duck calls would have stirred up this much excitement.
No kidding. Got him coming up here.
Shortcut time!
That's what I'm talking about. You sure this is a good idea?
Oh, yeah. I got this. I can't guarantee you how this will end, but Peak can guarantee your radiator for life. Introducing the Peak Run True Guarantee. Check it out at peakguarantee.com.
Welcome back to the Watkins Glen International, and once again, Tony Stevens, for the second consecutive round, it's Nick Ottinger in victory lane. Ottinger dominates this one over Kenny Humpy and the rest of the field. Fantastic little battles from there on out, but up in front, that 05 car was pretty solid.
He was solid, period. That's all there is to it. I do not think anybody had anything for Nick Ottinger, Tim, at all. I know I talked to Nick 2 weeks ago for the Fans' Choice recap for iRacing night. I don't want to say he sounded cocky, because that was not the case. He didn't really sound overconfident, but he had a pitch, a tone, an ambiance about his voice that I had not heard all season long. It's been a long time since I've seen Nick Ottinger that confident, and he essentially told me, without saying so much, we're going to win Watkins Glen, but I'm just not going to tell you that. That's how confident he seemed, and for whatever reason, this new rules package, whether it's something they found as a team, whatever it is, the Ream team and the Gale Force bunch have been absolutely on a rail. I mean, you look further down, drivers like Brian Day. I mean, Brian Day started 41st on the field. I mean, he's deep in the field in that Gale Force team. He made up 10 or 15 spots throughout the course of the day. So he had a solid run as well, as did the other members of their team, Tim. So it wasn't just Nick Ottinger that's found something. I think it's the entire Gale Force bunch. And it's a shame that they had such a horrible midseason run, because if they were this good at the end of the year, they might be a contender for a championship. And if NASCAR and iRacing ever implement the chase into the Peak Antifreeze series, watch out, because Nick Ottinger might be the guy who benefits the most, because he seems to be a really streaky driver, and when he gets hot at the right times, he's always very tough to beat.
Yeah, he's making a run to the top of the standings as quick as he can and as close as he can to that top spot in the standings. But of course, Kenny Humpy comes home in position number 2 this evening. It's going to be easier said than done to catch the top spot in the standings. But Tony, I believe we're going to get you hooked up with our winner once again for the second consecutive round of the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series. It's Nick Oxford.
And get to talk to the winner one more time. It's starting to become a habit, Tim, talking to winners, and that's, I guess, how we roll. We like talking to winners, though. Nick Ottinger, your first win this season came at the historic Indianapolis Motor Speedway, a race you said meant so much to you to win. This comes at one of the most historic road courses in all of racing, Watkins Glen International. I talked to you a couple weeks ago, and you said you had a feeling you'd be very, very good here. What does it mean to come out and not only win, but now win 2 in a row and win very, very convincingly here at Watkins Glen?
Yeah, it felt really good. I mean, last year I knew we had the pace to contend with Connie, and a lot of it's just your start position road racing, man. And we just had such a good car. I remember telling you a couple weeks back that we're going to be really strong, like you were saying. I mean, the car just had so much grip. This really suited the weather tonight, and I mean, it was real fun, man. I mean, we were debating on when to pit and everything. We just kept pulling the lead, trying to save fuel the first stint, and Holden, crew chief, just kept telling us, like, we'll just stay out and just see how it plays out, man. I mean, you got too quick of a pace, and I mean, it feels really good. I mean, last year, like I said, I knew we had the pace to contend with Connie, and just laps ran out, but I mean, it feels really good to start up front here. I mean, there's so much here, and pull out this win for Gale for us.
Nick, it's always amazing to me how you're so streaky of a driver. And now we move to 4 of the most important races of the year. For a championship in the case of Kenny Humpy and the guys up front, but for yourself now to stay inside the top 20, to not have to run the NASCAR iRacing.com Pro Series in the offseason. What is your plan for these final 4 races? What do you have up your sleeve to ensure yourself to be within the cut as we get down to these final 4 events?
It's just the same as it was tonight at Indianapolis. Just go out there and get the best finish you can. Obviously, we want to win. My goal is obviously to win as much as you can. But you got to be realistic about it. But I mean, I know our efforts the last few races, ever since new build came out with the dynamic weather coming into a factor and everything, we've been really stellar. We ain't been the best every single week, but I mean, we've been really strong. So, and that's looking for our green Toyota Camry, JV2 designs Camry, just to keep pulling our efforts and just keep digging.
Keep digging, they will. And that's Nick Ottinger, the winner here tonight at Watkins Glen International, his second consecutive win and second on the season, Tim. Certainly a great night for the Ream team. Second place, I think they're pretty happy, though, with where they ended up because, well, that guy knows that championship league continues to be extended each and every time he does it.
And that is Kenny Humpy, driver the number 58. Kenny, let's talk about this finish that you had here this evening, second place at Watkins Glen.
Yeah, a little disappointed in second, but can't be too disappointed because we were able to increase that point lead, and it would have taken a lot to beat Nick tonight, so he had a really awesome car, so congratulations to those guys. I really wanted to get a win for Peak and best overhead doors, vinyl siding, and all the guys on the team, but we just didn't have it quite enough. You know, we just didn't quite have the pace Nick had, and, you know, good job to him again.
And you talk about that, extending this point lead, going down into the final 4 races. We're going to take that drop. We're going to factor that in for the final 4 rounds of the series. But how confident are you heading into these final 4 races?
Confidence is pretty high. I mean, I don't know what it'll end up being, but it was almost a 3-race lead there before the drop. So, I mean, pretty confident. It's going to take a lot to screw it up, but it is racing and anything's possible. And we got a really good track for me coming up with Phoenix. So, pretty excited to get back to the ovals and off the road side of things, and hopefully, just be able to finish these last few races off and hopefully be able to claim that championship and go on down to Homestead.
You talk about the Phoenix International Raceway. You got a couple of teammates that really like that racetrack. Kevin King comes to mind when we think of Phoenix. You guys are confident going in it. Have you tried anything weather-wise or setup-wise with that racetrack?
We haven't even ran a lap there yet, to be honest with you. We've been pretty much focused on Watkins Glen, up to this point. So we'll take the next 2 weeks here and try to get something going together and hopefully be able to put on a show for everybody that's watching. And I also got to give them a shout out, everybody, all my friends and family that are tuning in to watch. Got to appreciate you guys for watching, and hopefully we can get you a win next time.
How close is it to realizing that you could be this NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series champion?
It's starting to get there, but like I said, it's racing, and you never know in these things. You know what could go wrong. Anything could, with the power and everything. You never know. So I don't want to say it's over, but we're getting ever so close to being able to wrap it up, and hopefully we can do that as soon as we can. So the pressure kind of alleviates itself, and we can kind of relax. Hopefully the last race or two. So. But not too much pressure right now. Just trying to finish races and do like we did tonight. And finishing second is really good. So as long as you're beating the guy that's racing you in points, it's a positive.
Finishing races and finishing well. That is Kenny Humpy coming home in position number 2, and Tony continuing to be the point leader in this NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series.
Continuing to become the point leader, and a guy that was in that same spot 1 year ago, although not nearly the case here tonight, is the third-place finisher, a season-best run for the New Jersey driver, Michael Conti. And, Mike, this has got to be a huge shot in the arm for your team. How much does this mean to you to be able to come out and have your first top 5 run in what seems like forever at a track that is somewhat close to your home?
Yeah, it's really great, Tony. Great to be back up here in PSR TV, giving a top 5 interview. Like you said, it's been quite a while. We had a pretty good car tonight. The weather was a little bit funky. We had a lot of grip with the overcast conditions, something that a lot of us really didn't practice for. So that was definitely a curveball. We got that dialed in pretty decent in warm up. Fired it up in the race. Had a really good start. Drove it in 3 wide under Nick and. Whoever else was up there, I think it was Ray or somebody. But anyway, or maybe it was Humpy. But we had a good start. Ended up filing in 3rd and pretty much rode there the whole race. So it was really uneventful for a Peak Auto, Blue Def, main performance PC Chevy. So good solid race, and like I said, nice to finally run up front again.
What is your plan for these final few races, Mike, as your defense of the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series title comes to a close? What do you have on the tables, both here in the sim racing world, your goals for the final 4 events, and if I'm not mistaken, I think you've even planned some real races. What all do you have rolling here in the next few months?
Yeah, we're definitely still working hard on the real racing stuff. Plans have changed, and stuff has changed the last couple months. It's kind of made it a little bit more difficult to make that happen right now. But JDR Graphics with JD Laird just put out a great press kit for me, so I've been sending that out. Trying to drum up some interest, and we're working on a few things, but definitely could always use some more help. But that's looking pretty good. As far as the sim racing goes, I'm just happy to be running up front again. This obviously isn't going to translate into Phoenix, but I think it just kind of proves to me and myself that I can still drive, and I haven't really lost it. Obviously, didn't have anything for Nick tonight, or Humpy for that matter, but to be second to those 2 guys who have been really dominant all year and really fast, that's really cool. So we're going to do our best for Peak and Blue Def and everybody else, the RCRL, everybody else that supported this car through this year and last year. We haven't really done very good for them up to this point. So whatever I can do from here on out, going to Phoenix next week, hopefully we can run a little bit better and get them some more TV time.
Quickly, before I let you go, there was an incident on the pit stop with Ray Alfala trying to get around you, chase you down, battle with you, whatever you want to call it. Anything you saw from your seat, or what exactly did happen there on the pit lane?
I'll walk you through it real quick. I was in, I made my pit stop, and we were having some temperature problems at the beginning of the race because we kind of guessed a little bit wrong on the tape. So I was in the pit box, and I had to leave a little bit slower because the oil was blinking, and I didn't want to blow it up right then and there. So that gave Ray a pretty decent run down the outside. He had a little bit more momentum coming down pit road. And, I know exactly what he's thinking. He wanted to get the spot right there because he probably thought if he got the spot coming out of the pits with even tires, he could probably hold me off the second half of the race. But, I saw him in my left monitor get a little bit wide there, and he hit the wall pretty good. So, I wouldn't do anything different in that scenario. I think I gave him plenty of room. So I'm sure he's not happy that ended up kind of ruining his night. But either way, I think he still salvaged a pretty decent finish. And, Tony, I can only worry about myself and where I put my car. What people do around me, that's their deal. So Ray's a veteran. I know he'll be kicking himself tomorrow morning for making somewhat of a rookie mistake. But he gave it his all, and that's all you can ask for. And like I said, we'll go to Phoenix and definitely have a good run there.
We wish you the best of luck there. Michael Conti finishes third here tonight in the Peak Blue Death Chevrolet, the defending Peak Antifreeze Series champion. Tim Terry, it looks like Corey Vincent has skipped the property. He is nowhere to be seen for his media obligations, but I do believe you've caught up with the guy that ended up finishing in position number 5.
And it's PJ Sturgis. And PJ, let's talk about the run that you had with Corey Vincent, because it was a pretty exciting little battle coming down to the end.
Yeah, that was a good one, but unfortunately with about 5 to go, I realized that I was a lap short on fuel, so at that point I had no choice but to let him go and just pretty much ride half throttle all the way around until just to make it. I ran out right after the line, so just not quite the right strategy or tonight, so happy to take home a top 5 after that. I mean, hats off to Nick, of course. He was kind of in his own zip code tonight, so good to see him get a victory again this season, and I'll try to go on to Phoenix here.
And I know you love these road courses. You mentioned the top 5 run is great for you, but it's also great for you in the standings as well, because you sit before this race, before that drop, you sit 6th in the point standings. How big is this going to be with some of those guys up in front of you having subpar runs, trying to make your way up to possibly 2nd before this thing is all said and done?
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, 3 weeks is what we have left. I mean, a lot can happen there, so just got to keep digging hard here, and yeah, it's good to get a few points on Brian here, but I mean, I know he's quick these last few weeks. Darlington's one of his better tracks, so gonna have to keep at it and try to keep finding that little bit of edge, which is difficult because the guys all around me are my teammates, so they're all running the same set as me, so have to do it all on driving and strategy rather than setup, so should be interesting.
You mentioned the Phoenix International Raceway in 2 weeks' time. What do we expect for a race there? What do fans on Fans Choice and iRacing Live and all of our affiliates expect when we go to that racetrack?
Oh, it's going to be a wild one if the Phoenix races from seasons past tell us anything. It's going to be all about survival, and if you can qualify up front, that's going to be a big help, but if you can get your pit strategy right to get some track position in those last 30 laps and try to hang on to it the best you can, you're going to be sitting in real good shape. So going to have to look at some replays from the races in the past and see kind of what they did for pit strategy. But if we can survive, I think top 10 is going to be possible there. So we'll keep trying to dig here and go on to Phoenix.
Before we let you go, make the call now. Is there one track in these final 4 races that we're going to see this PJ Sturgis team in victory lane?
Oh, God, I hope so. I was kind of pointing to this race as the one, but it just wasn't meant to be tonight. So, who knows? Maybe Chicagoland. That's always been a good track for me. But, of course, with this level of competition, thinking that you're going to wind up in victory lanes, one of the hardest things there is in sim racing. So, just do what we can here, and maybe some luck will fall our way.
And that's PJ Sturgis coming home in position number 5 here this evening. And Tony, fantastic little race here at Watkins Glen International. And when you look at the point standings, drop not factored in, it's 135 points between your top 2. With that drop, it might get a little bit closer. But as Kenny Humpy said, there's almost 3 races there in the point standings. Do we see Kenny Humpy celebrating maybe 3 races before this season is done?
Very well could happen, Tim. It very well could happen. All it takes is Real Fowler or somebody to have a completely uncharacteristic, blow-it-up race next week at Phoenix. Kenny Humpy goes out, runs top 3, top 5, and it's over. That's simple. It seems really, really surreal to think we could be thinking championship completed in August or September of the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series season, but it's a very real possibility. One thing's for certain, I'm almost going to guarantee you that he locks it up with 2 races to go. We haven't seen a mistake out of Kenny Humpy, and even if we do, I don't see him making 2 huge mistakes over the course of 4 races that can completely give away a championship. I think he has earned his stripes so far this season. Ray and everybody else, they have made their mistakes throughout the course of the season, and Kenny Humpy has just simply been flawless. Now, when the drop is factored in, you've got to remember Ray Alfala had a 38th place finish somewhere. So he'll drop 5 points or 3 points or something ridiculously small. Kenny Humpy's worst finish is 6th. So he'll drop an additional 30-some points, almost 40 points off of his total. So it basically will bring it back to 2 races. But it's still surreal that you can have that kind of a lead after just this few number of races. And I think Kenny Humpy is, again, not celebrating yet, but I think they certainly have that in mind, and they are in coast home, prevent defense mode. Maybe not prevent defense, because that only prevents you from winning, but they are certainly in take no chances, get it to the end, and just be smart mode. And I think it's very well deserved for that youngster. He's done a phenomenal job all season long.
And he's at the point now where he could wreck at the Phoenix International Raceway and end up finishing 43rd or 41st or wherever that position is, and still have a huge chunk of change to deal with when it comes to a points cushion over Ray Alfal and the rest of the field. PJ Sturgis, without the drop, going to move to 4th in the standings. So I don't think PJ Sturgis and that team is done yet. But as he mentioned, there's a bunch of teammates from Last Row Motorsports and Slip Angle Motorsports around him vying for that second place right now. So that's going to be a battle as well. NASCAR iRacing Class B Series comes up next week, but Tony, 2 weeks' time at Phoenix. What do we expect, and who do you see as possibly coming up front? We've had some surprise winners this season. Corey Benson's been a strong contender, but I don't think we predicted Alan Bowes to win when he did. I don't think we predicted Alex Warren to win when he did. Do we see a surprise winner coming up in 2 weeks' time at Phoenix?
I don't think so, Tim. I really don't, because Nick Ottinger has always been very good at Phoenix. He's always been one of the guys to beat. Ray Alfala has been solid at Phoenix. Yes, that race could be something of a wild card, but I don't really see that happening. I really think that it's going to be the normal contenders, because now everybody's in point mode. They know where they're at. They know what they have to do. There won't be any unnecessary chances. There won't be those extra risks taken unless the risk is really, in fact, much greater. The reward is much greater than what could be lost out of it. And I think Nick Ottinger, as much as some fans may not want to hear this, I honestly think he ends up with 3 in a row at Phoenix. We've seen it before. He's been so good there. I think it's the 05's race once again to lose when we go to the Valley of the Sun.
The one thing that Michael Conti mentioned was the weather. It was overcast here this evening. I don't think a lot of drivers really anticipated it to be overcast, and that threw a curveball into some of these strategies and some of these setups this evening. Maybe a guy like a Justin Bolton or a Cody Bias. Kevin King used to be strong at Phoenix. We'll see if he can rise once again in 2 weeks' time. Once again, 2 weeks, Phoenix International Raceway for the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series, round number 13. On all of our affiliates, wherever you're watching here this evening, you can tune in once again in 2 weeks' time to see the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series run at Phoenix. 1 week time, NASCAR iRacing Class B Series going to be back on the airwaves once again. Every Tuesday night is iRacing night here on Fans Choice, the Motor Racing Network, iRacing Live, PSR, all the affiliates that we run on every Tuesday night. That's going to do it for us here from the Watkins Glen International. So for all of us here and my co-host Tony Stevens, my name is Tim Terry. We will see you next week when we say, let's go racing with the NASCAR iRacing Class B Series. Keep the hammer down, and we'll see you at the track.
Pretty damn good race.
That was.
Sorry, guys. I never would have thought making duck calls would have stirred up this much excitement.
No kidding. Got him coming up here.
Shortcut time!
That's what I'm talking about. You sure this is a good idea?
Oh, yeah. I got this. I can't guarantee you how this will end, but Pete can guarantee your radiator for life. Introducing the Peak Run True Guarantee. Check it out at peakguarantee.com.
It's been a very long offseason. Teams have changed, sponsors have changed, colors and all, but one thing that hasn't, they like to mash the loud pedal. Green flag is out on the 2015 NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series season.
iRacing is the ideal platform for these broadcasts because we have the best racers, the best online racers in the world, and we have such a variety of racing, from NASCAR to Grand Prix style racing, sports car, endurance racing. We do it all.
Since 2010, the iRacing.com World Championship Grand Prix Series has been the absolute pinnacle of road racing in a simulated form. Great start then by Yakoda from the front. They're packing up behind number one. They're going to be 4 wide as they come down into turn number 1 for the first time. Will they make it through that first corner? You can see them funneling through the center S's. It looks as though everyone is just about made it through. We have got ourselves some contact though, Rachel.
Side by side going into turns 3 and 4. Humpy's got the advantage with Ottinger's not going to.
Oh, he got into him!
Ottinger gets into the 58, turns right into him, and that ends Ottinger's run.
We do a lot of live broadcasts now. Every Tuesday is NASCAR night, so on alternating Tuesdays we do the Peak Antifreeze Series, and on the other Tuesdays the B-Class Series, which is the Xfinity cars, and sometimes we'll even do some short track racing depending on the schedule. Every other Saturday we do the iRacing World Championship Grand Prix Series, so the best road racers we have. And we also broadcast some special events, including the Endurance Championship, which is part of the Road Warriors Series. So we broadcast the Daytona 24, the Sebring 12-hour, we'll do the Watkins Glen 6-hour, several other races along there. And then, of course, the iRacing Pro Racing Champions, which is usually our biggest and most watched event of the year.
That is short track racing, and that's how awesome this sim is, Joe. That's something you see on TV on highlight reels, and we just saw it here, live.
We invite iRacers who are real-world racers. They compete every December. Guys like Alex Gurney, Justin Wilson, Scott Speed, Ron Capps, the list goes on. Really some big-name drivers from all major forms of motorsport. It's really neat to see them get together and race together.
See Laughlin up top, down to the ball, gets turned! Laughlin gets turned! Caution is out! Alfaro at the front of the field!
The easiest place to find the broadcast is on our website, iRacing.com/live. So you can find some of our races on fanschoice.tv as well. A nice place to find iRacing broadcasts. You can also find it at mrn.com and peakauto.com.